Right. So I wonder if this is working. This is going to be episode 1. This is more so me just testing whether or not this is actually working, so I can go back on the YouTube channel and see if this is actually recording, actually working. So I took a position last night here on gold, and they should be here. I took these positions. As you can see, if we just put a nice little box over here so we can go down on the minute time frame. Right, so this is what we took last night. So we jumped in a buy here, got stopped out. It's moving nicely now, but then that 1 minute candle. So yeah, look. Got in, price moved down, bounced straight back up. 1 minute candle smashed through, jumped back in here. Price was going our way, came back at break even. Got in here. Price pushed down. My stop loss was right below this level, but we stayed in by the nick of. Price moved back up almost to break even. Rejected. I jumped back in here. Sideways movement. Then price did go up. At this point here, based on the time, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning, etc. And the way that it was shaping up on the 5 and the 15 looked very nice to reject this level and come down quickly. So as this one moved up and moved through, I put stops at break even, and then this came down, touched it before we went on and pushed up. But I held the lower entry because this one down to here was minus about about between minus 250 minus 300. So when I compounded here, I was thinking, right, if this pushes down, this can push down quick. You can see some of these candles, etc. On the bearish side, I was thinking, now that I'm up in profit, it's late, etc. This wasn't the best entry. It wasn't a good entry. Would I be more annoyed if price came down and I lost, or would I be more annoyed if price continued on? And I was like, right, well, this is a bad entry. I'm gonna cut it. I think that was the best thing to do. Regardless, price moved on up, and we closed out for a nice position. As it was, we lost 280 on this first move here, when we were only risking just under 200, so we almost lost 30% more than we should have because of how quickly price moved down and we slightly got slipped. This one lost 50, again, slight slippage because that should have been 0. So it's a bit bullshit, but this is funded accounts. Funded accounts do exit slight bullshit. So you look at this, for example, I didn't enter up here. I entered somewhere down here, but it just entered me up there. It is what it is, charge it to the game. It's like this as well. I didn't enter there, I entered down here, but there's a bit of swaps, etc. I then closed out here, and my reason for doing so, as you will see, if I put this on screen now, reason for closing there was didn't want to hold too long at almost 4 o'clock in the morning, especially given the fact that there was no correction and price did look like it could very well just move sideways. As we saw in the end, price did move sideways until about 5 o'clock in the morning, so I wouldn't have wanted to wait for another odd hour. Let's get to bed, as we're out quite late. So that's that. See other trades. Let's have a little look, because price is at all-time high for gold. So obviously buys looking very nice. It's ridiculous, honestly. If you're watching this, something big is coming. Something big is happening as well. Gold moving like this, because this is a daily time frame, my friends. Gold moving from a weekly like this. Big things. I don't know why these are on. I guess this is from a previous. You know what? I might actually leave that there, because I do think that lines up with some of the stuff on higher time frames. I can't even see what price that is. That, yeah, it's because that's down by the 3000s. What's that on weekly? Yeah. I do expect a correction back down towards 3000 at some point, but as you see, we're about to hit 4000. Yeah, gold has just gone nuts, honestly. From a yearly time frame, is absolutely crazy. These levels are fractal levels. Yeah. And as you see, they move very nicely between it. But that's for me to know and you to not know. This is useful as well. I don't know if anybody's ever, because I don't use what do you call it, indicators, but I do use this. So yeah. So all it does is you can see. So like I'm on the 15 right hour, but say if you want to go on a 5 minute here, it still shows you the high time frame candles, just to make sure you know what I mean, your bias and your high time frame is in line with your lower time frame perspective as well. So to be honest, there's not a lot. There's not a lot here. This is just, you know what I mean, straight corn to the upside. We are at all-time highs. It's a little dangerous to go either way at this moment. Because obviously you can argue with your favour in shorts, and as you see, the short corrections are very, very steep. It's one of the things with gold. When she corrects, she corrects. So if you look at last week, for example, like look at this. Get rid of that. But look, so this is half 2, and that is half 3. So in 2 hours, you've almost dropped 1,000 pips. 700 odd pips in 2 hours. It's ridiculous. It's very, very hard to see that volatility anywhere else in the markets. Gold is she's one of a kind. That's why we trade gold. But shorts positions could be shaping up, but you got to pay attention to this structure and these candles are moving with momentum. So Because to be really honest with you, she could just... So from... Yeah, look. That green line is 4,000. She could very easily pop up here. But even just a correction back down into here, right? So this is the 15 minute. Oh, the 15 just closed. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. I should have known that before, to be fair. Makes sense why she was sorry. Yeah, that's a 15. That's a 30. 30's broken. When I was right on top. This is what I mean. This is a position where it's very hard to a lot of people will call it almost like a no trade zone because price arguably isn't showing definitive one way, and a lot of people would say, well, no, it's clearly showing bulls. You know what I mean? Like, it's clearly, as many people have said, if your chart's coming through on the bottom left, going towards the top right, it's probably a buy. I mean, it's trending. But buying at all-time high, you're very likely to be buying high and selling low. Obviously, it doesn't really apply for gold in such the same way, or in terms of the markets, because it's not an investment, but principle's the same. To buy at all-time high is a little bit nuts without clear volume. This is not clear volume. This very well, right, when you look at it, when you kind of zoom out and look at price like this very well could do exactly what this has done, where it just edges up a little bit and then drop off, and then push back up a little bit and then drop off, and then carry on. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do too much, but I want to see, because that is shaping up nice, you get what I mean? Because currently this is the problem, obviously. But as you know, and as you will see, this candle could just, but if she breaks, she's gonna go. Guys, as there, right? So we got large momentum, retest, push, right? This is the high. Price pushed down in the same, so this would have opened and then pushed, broken all-time high, made a new all-time high, right? And began to push down, push back up. We're getting a rejection, as you can see. She's just falling fast. So that's the thing, is it's there, like, you could argue there was an entry there, right? And that could have been a very good entry. But this candle here, as you can see, is kind of breaking like a little trend line here, if you will, which means it is still kind of, if you see what I'm saying here, right? If we get a break, if we break here, there's a very good chance that it will move fast. But what you have to be aware of, right, is you see this is 3 minutes past 4, right? We've had 3 minutes into the open of the new hour. And the hourly looks like this. To zoom in a bit, the hourly looks like this, right? For 3 minutes, that is a very good wick if price is to continue to the upside, right? As you kind of see in there. Right, so this is already creating quite a big wick within a minute, 2 minute on the higher time frames, right? So this is now filling out structure. So when you look at this, right, if price is ridiculously bullish it can just open and just keep going, as you sometimes see here, for example, right? So when this was moving, it just opened, just went here, right? So these two candles, 15 minutes, are representing this. So as you see down here, you know what I mean, price is barely pushed down from when the 15-minute closes here. It's a tiny push, but what it's kind of doing is, look, so it's kind of retested that previous high, and then comes down to close, open, little wick, push, 15-minute close, 15 minutes opened, made a tiny little wick there, and price continued on. Same thing with this. It's very well could be making a wick, as you saw there. It bounced up pretty quickly. That 1 minute candle bounces back up and now makes this chart very indecisive, because this could be a very good short position. As you see, you could almost argue that there is a double top forming. Bang, bang. And yeah, as you will come to find out, price moves with and in synchrony. So if you were to put a line straight through the middle here, can you see how this, right, probably is easier to see on the 1 minute candle. Do you see how this is kind of like a big W? You see what I mean? Price very often moves in synchrony. In synchronous, I don't know what the actual word is, but it moves. Yeah, wait, what is it? It's in synchrony. Price moves in synchrony. Yeah, so price moves, like I was saying, as you could see there, price moves synchrony. It's like this, for example. Right, you see what I mean? It's kind of the same with this. You know what I mean? No, obviously it doesn't always do this, obviously. Nothing's ever easy, or I don't know what the word is, but just because price moves and shows you something doesn't mean it's always going to do it right. So it's like these candles here. You'll come to find that these candles are tricky little candles. Why? Because they show price is pushed down, it's rejected off a level, etc. But it can mean that price often pushes up, and as you see, we are getting some volume now. Actually, now we could be looking at a trade, because this now, if this closes down here, this is going to break very, very fast. But that close there is kind of nice. You don't want to worry about 1 minute too heavy though. 1 minute should only give you the final tick boxes to your overall direction that you think is going to happen. So at some point, this has got to come back down. Like, this is ridiculous and artificial as fuck. this is not normal or genuine price action, especially when you look from a longer time perspective, right? You have rallies. Markets do rally, for example, but as you see here, like in this big rally a couple of years ago or whatever, right? Markets move up and down. This, like, something is broken right now. Something is very, very, very broken in the world. Gold should not be doing this. If you look from a higher time frame perspective, let's look on some of the cleaner charts. I think this one's clean. Yeah, it's clean. Ish. If you look at this, right, gold has moved 50% this year. Gold has moved, right, 1,300. Gold has increased by $1,357 per ounce, right? For hundreds of years, so from 1833, the data that we have, right, from 1833 to 2010, right, gold only hit 1,400 in 2010, 2009, 2010. Right, so this price action here, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't know how to explain to you, but simple as this. So a couple of years ago when I started trading, gold was confined to this range, and we were looking for a pullback to the downside before a large extension, as you see here. When price pushed up, and then you obviously see, because when you look back throughout gold, while this is still just uncertain, but when you look back, right, to bang, October the 7th, 2023. So we were actually in shorts from up here. So my boy was in shorts, and he was in, call it summertime, because he was in shorts, moving nicely. And then obviously you had October the 7th, all of the Israel-Gaza stuff. And since then, look, that was the low. Since then, the capital that has been put into gold is ridiculous. And when you look at from a higher time frame perspective, how, like I said, from the early, so you had like 2014, right, which was the original all-time high. Then you had obviously COVID. Yeah, I mean, so you had the all-time high back in 2011. Just have a look at what was happening in 2011, blah, blah, blah. Then we entered almost like a 10-year just kind of consolidation, right? Price moving up, down, you know what I mean? Nice movement. Then COVID came along. This is where people were basically saying that the financial system's kind of broken. But we sold off heavily. And then obviously since then, we have gone nuts. But as you see here, look, so from 2020 to 2023, right? So for 3 years, gold was consolidating right around these all-time highs. October the 7th happened, and price has gone nuts ever since. So what I'm saying here is, because obviously gold is a safe haven asset, but what we are saying is at some point, unless you have a re-evaluation of gold, for example, where we do see gold just end up going parabolic and begin to explore the regions of 4,000, 5,000, etc. it would make a lot of sense if gold does begin to correct. But for gold to begin to correct, what has to happen on a fundamental level in terms of politics, geopolitics, etc.? Yeah, but there you go. So like I was saying, so now 5 minutes, close, move. Yeah. So you see what I was talking about? It pushed all the way down into these lows. So as you see there, right? It pushed down into the lows of the 15 and the lows of the 1 hour. So now you have filled out structure. So now it makes sense if she does begin to rock it up. Why? Because this looks a lot nicer. See what I mean? Price moves from problem to problem. That's all it does, right? This was a problem. This came into it, it's rejected. Now it goes up. Price just goes up and down. So as you see, for example, right? You go 15-minute. She got a leg here, a leg up, right? Let's just do it from there to there. I've got magnets on, don't I? Price has made a leg up, right? It's actually better if you show. So, like I said, overnight we took some buys here. We bought down here, sold up here because we knew that there was going to be a bit of meh. 5 a.m. Price pushed right back down until 9. So just before London opens here, then sells off. Right, sells off, creates on the daily, creates this downside wick, which validates, like I said before, you know what I mean, validates an upside move. So we've pushed down, so it doesn't just look completely artificial, like it's not just, you know what I mean, like this on the weekly where it's just, because even though price might be doing this on the weekly, it can't do that just here. Like price can't just go up or go down. It has to move with structure. It has to go up, has to go down. You know what I mean? Like Sir Isaac Newton said, what goes up must come down. So like I said, price is just filling out structure. Started a 4 hour. You get what I mean? 4 hours just coming down to make this, and now I think you're about to see price break out. So at this point, you could break out trade. So this point here is a much better, would have been obviously a good position to get in. But, as you actually no, so it's not a but. This was a good position to get in. This is annoying me that it's not straight. Why? Oh, no, it wasn't actually. It wasn't. Because this very well... So you look at that. That's dirty. That's dirty and dangerous. Because this can be this candle here. I'm talking about. This candle here can be interpreted in a few ways. So as you see, we're probably going to get breakout here. This candle here can go either way. Now, because it's closed here, it's stronger. But if this closed down here, very well probably should have cut and pushed down. Right. Once you had here, maybe this would have been the entry here. So as this closed and you see it's strong and momentum has come back in, then you'd enter here and you'd probably want your stops below here. Because then if it does come down, it's probably going to come down. And then arguably you could flip switch. So you could then go short below here. This is all theoretical, right? But now, as you've seen, very confident move. Looks nice. But as you see here, right, so as I was showing, so this was until this candle here, right, this was the problem. But now, problem's been broken. This is the floor. Now, on 5 minute. See, you know what I wish, right? I wish MetaTrader, if you're listening, I wish MetaTrader you could, so on this, right, so on Trader View, if you go like that and you hit shift, you get what I mean, it goes straight. I wish, I hit my mic. It would be very nice if MetaTrader did the same. Because I don't like, he's slightly uneven, it just looks a bit, it just gets on my nerves. But right, so this is the floor, as I said, price moved down, make the wick, now it's pushing on. Exactly what I was just saying, right? So that would have been the trade, but I am being a bit conservative, like I said, given where price is, but hopefully that would have given you a decent idea of how to trade, when to trade, because that move in itself would have been a 100-pip move. That's bang. Like I said, a couple of years ago, even a year or two ago, from a higher time frame perspective, when we were, look, to a 15 minute, let's go all the way back down. It's down a 15 minute, damn. Come on. Come on, let's just go to the breakout. That's all it's going to show. Alright, bugger it. Anyway, long story short though, even a year ago, right, even a year ago, you'll see majority of the time, right, and these are daily candles, so an entire daily range would only be, see, 200 pips. Entire daily range, you're only talking, you know what I mean, 200 pips. When you had one of these big impulse candles, for example, then you're talking a, I don't know, 300 pip range. Still 250 pip, 300 pip. Right? 200 pip. Whereas now we are having enormous days. You know what I mean? The other day, like, look at this. 700, 800 pip day. You know what I mean? Already today itself has been another 500 pip day that you can try and squeeze as much as possible out. But as you see, you know what I mean? Like, bang, 400 pip day. The liquidity is doubled. So even these small days, for example, you're still like, still a 300 pip day. It's nuts. The volume at the moment is ridiculous. So a bit of an L for maybe not taking it, but this is, like I said, just the start, and just seeing if all of this has gone well, if everything has worked across the 30 odd minutes, so I can actually look at making more of these videos, and that would have been a great trade. Say you did enter a little bit late, like I was saying, even then you're still talking 60, 70, 80 odd pips to eat from, so it's not bad. Price is pushing, I might, because when I was recording before, as you might see on my channel, I find it a bit annoying if I was going, right, well, I think I'm done now. And then in 5 or 10 minutes you see a nice cell set up. You'd be a bit meh about whether or not you're going to jump back in and do another stream. But yeah, I think we'll leave it for now. Have for... I don't know, because we haven't had a lot of downside. And often when you are at the highs, for example, you can expect, before a push down, you can expect a wick, right? Sometimes it just pushes straight, but it would make sense if price was to make a wick up top side first before we continued to the downside. From a 4-hour or long-term perspective, and it could create a little pin bar or whatever you call it. Because in some ways, I don't know, I'm gonna leave this at 4 minutes till 1:30, so it very well might just be making this, you know what I mean, close somewhere like this and make it look a little more potentially bearish. So the more you understand about the markets, the more you realise that sometimes the candles will paint a picture, right, that is interpreted in 2 different ways. So what I mean by that is price will often say like this. Price will often make where, like I've said, you know what I mean? So when you have these pin bars, etc., then bang, you know what I mean? Bang. Bang. You know what I mean? Bang. But then we'll do it here. Right. So it looks, so from here, right, at this point here, if you don't see all of this, that could be a good sell. That, as I'm aware, was open. Push it up at 11 o'clock, so daily open. But you see what I mean? Price very often makes, because we're here, as it's breaking there, this candle could have just been a... So it will often do stuff, like I said, like that before it breaks out. You get what I mean? Because at this point here, on another day, this would have smashed down, where it will quite often show price action that it's like this. Price has moved very strongly up. We've had a bit of a correction. Now you've had no wick. Price has pushed up. You're thinking at this point, yeah, this could be a great buy. No. You know what I mean? Price will often do stuff to, you know what I mean? And then you have like this. Very nice buy signal. Price has pushed up. It's come back down. Right to the point of where it pretty much broke out. So that's a important part to be aware of. Then price has bounced off it, but then as you see here, because that's almost quite nice and quite not easy to read, but there's a good chance that quite a few people got in some buys. Then you obviously have to take any of these buys back out, push a bit lower, because you might have some people as well. Some people would have got in here, for example. Some people almost guaranteed will have got in here, and then this downside will have taken them out before the upside moves matured. So hopefully that's giving you a bit of help. That's half time. Half past. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. Because I don't want to do too much. I'd rather sit out, wait a day or two, and let it. I don't know though, because this does look very much like I was saying. It could go up, and then could very very sharply fall straight back down. I don't know. We shall see. See what I mean? Because that from 15 does look bearish. But from the 5, it could just touch somewhere around here and then just, which would make a wick here and then. But first, because open, push, retry. But like I was saying though, can you see how this is shaping up, right, on the 15-minute to look very much like I was saying, where price can go like this. Let's make a cup. I'm gonna just let this sit for a minute. I'm gonna turn my mic off. damn. So as you see there, she did fall off. And like I said, when she falls very sharply. As you see there, straight. Very little time. It's like this, right? There's very little time. Not to get in, but very little time for corrections, etc. When she's going straight. When she, because this is the correction, right? So when it's correcting, especially to the downside after large moves to the upside, she moves fast, like I was saying. So now, in many ways, you've got now you've got price pushing back down into these lows, right? Yeah, this is what I was looking at. These lows, but yet the highs from last night and yesterday, right? So these were the highs on Monday. It is Tuesday, isn't it? Yeah. So this was the high yesterday. No, because we went and formed. But that's right at the end. But it's still on market open. So it's pretty much from here, right? Yesterday's highs is what we bounced off before. Is what we're looking at now. So this is the hourly. So we have pushed through the hourly and we are set up looking like this. So like I was saying, if price is to fall off, we need to break this and we need to close. Oh, we need to close around here. Yeah, so there you have it. Right, because this is about to close, is it not? There you go. So that's nice. That's a very strong 15-minute candle. So there's a very good chance of breaking these lows now, unless price moves most straight away to the upside. This also, like I said, moved exactly as I was saying, you know what I mean? Where it made a perfect looking cup before pushing down further. This does look exactly like what I was saying. And these perspective, yeah, so look, that already pushed down just on like a 1 minute candle. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if this goes and takes the lows. Yeah. So like I was saying, I don't really want to do too much today, but I'm still just monitoring it, because if she breaks from here, there's a very good chance we'll see some downside and some steep downside. But if you have been watching from the start, right, this goes to show that successful trading is boring. Trading is not get rich quick, and it is very, very boring. You are sat here pretty much like a sniper, just waiting for something that you see that you want. It's kind of like, this is kind of like that. Like you see that one? Pushed up there. It's kind of pushed up there and it's right by the lows, you get what I mean? You could argue it's come back into blah blah blah. You get what I mean? It could respect the lows and could bounce it, but no, when it goes, she's going. Because there, once again, you are making like I said, we've made a nice pretty much M shape. You see that? I'm not the best at drawing, please do forgive me. See what I mean? Whereas this was pretty much down and straight up. Same here, down, straight up. Here, very sharp up, very sharp down. Push up, down. But as you see here, it doesn't work all the time. But you can still argue it's kind of a W. You see that? Price moves in patterns. Price moves from problem to problem. So you have to look and say, so where is the problem right now? Where is she trying to go? Right? So as we just seen here, right? So this now is the king. This is all-time high. Make her red. I need to change these. I'm gonna make these blue. It's not blue. Make these blue. Blue, 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 blue. She is pushing. So that would have been a lovely sell. Absolutely gorgeous. $250 pips in 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 minutes. Damn. But as you see, realistically, it's in 15 minutes. Because it's from here. Right. 200 pips in 15 minutes. Damn. I ain't about to buy it. To have for free. But it is pushing down into where you could argue it's a buy. Because you've got 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes till this closes. So, do we really think it's going to continue pushing and just going to get straight corned to the downside? Or is it probably going to bounce around? I don't know. But this 5 minutes was opened. Pushing up there. So like I was saying, right now it is very, very choppy. I want price to potentially, you know what I mean, push down a little bit, maybe come back down to here, even though this is a huge range. And maybe just clean up a bit of the price and we can come back up, you know what I mean, before we look for a bit of a sell-off. However, it's not always that simple. As you see there, sometimes she just falls. She falls straight drop, times 4. So yeah, I don't know whether or not to just end this on an hour stream or whether or not to actually jump in, but it's about to be 5 o'clock. So you're talking that we are coming, let me look on the clock, it's almost midday over in New York. So it's 11:51 right now in New York. It's coming up to lunchtime. What does that mean? Well, that means that we very well could have some volatility coming. Maybe not now, maybe in half an hour's time type thing. But also she could begin to slow down now. And the Americans could, yeah, I mean, begin to either push it back up or continue to push down, but slow it down. Because that's a lot of liquidity. And as you see, anyone that bought here, there, you get what I mean? So like I said, oh, this could have been a decent buy. You would have got absolutely smashed on that candle there. You get what I mean? You would have had... You would have had a decent bit of chance, but say, like I was saying, say you got in somewhere down here, right? Which would have been a little bit dangerous with that. This candle would have slipped through and you would have lost. If you had, say, stops. So if your stop loss, say, was here, for example, you would have been taken out and you would have closed your position right down here at the lows, because this would have smashed through, right? So you would have, say you were risking that, you would have almost risked or lost double what you're risking, right? So this is why you've got to be careful about where you're placing your stop loss, and when you do decide, right, let's just cut the losses. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't want to buy it, but could be a good buy opportunity there. As you're breaking the lows. So anybody that was still in from here or there, like I was saying, so if you didn't get in this morning, large part of you would have been taken out. So this candle here, for example, with the bit of the problem here, this would have been a good setup, right? Press push down, press come up. Big bit of movement through here, a little indecision, up, down, then buy. Up there for a breakout trade. Would have been nice. Here, but downside, yeah, 5 minutes till 5. No, I'm not getting in. But there you go. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna ignore this and come back to it later or tomorrow. So yeah, I'm done. I didn't take any trades, but hopefully that has been of some value. That was kind of good, to be fair. Everything that I said, I was talking about, played out in the end. So it's pretty good. Yeah, hopefully that helped in some way. Little, right, so price broke out from here. Price broke out from here. To the upside, price came down. Like I said, price came down. Broke that before pushing up. So this actually wouldn't be a bad position to look for sells. And as you just saw there, we had a lot of, ooh, that actually does look quite nice. But entering at the end of a candle is, I was going to say I don't think it's a good idea, but as my mentor has said, like, ignore time. Like, price is price. Price is going to do what it's going to do regardless of what time it is. But that being said, you cannot debate the fact that very, very often when a candle opens, she is going to go, especially on an hourly, you can see here. Sometimes, yeah, bang, bang, yeah, bang, or bang. Very often, as you see here, there's wicks everywhere. You get what I mean? On all of these candles here, you get what I mean? There's wicks. Well, prices have gone down to start, etc. before she pushed up. Price has gone up, down, finished there. When prices like this, price could just, yeah, as you see in there, actually she is pushing down. So that point there might have. But then again, you see what I mean? Like, when you look at this, right? So if you're entering here, your stops realistically are going to be 50 pips, which is kind of ridiculous unless you're going very, very low leverage. You know what I mean? So if I was jumping in there, I'm risking, you know what I mean? Like, risking way too heavy. So yeah, hopefully that's been of some help. But she's not enticing me today. And arguably that is the move that I would have wanted and then said, alright, it's almost 5 o'clock, fuck it, I'm getting out. See you later. Bing bang bosh. But yeah.